E la cintura?
Non ce l'ho.
È un grosso rischio. Ricordati sempre di allacciare la cintura di sicurezza e falla allacciare anche a chi sta dietro. Guidare non è uno scherzo. Va bene?
The Italian President Giorgio Napolitano visited the meeting today and was greeted with warm applause. The President concluded the talk about subsidiarity as a foundation for the birth of the Italian Republic. Historians and journalists discussed the papal visit to the United Kingdom last year as a turning point for all of Europe. Boris Pasternak witnessed by the words and images of an exhibit dedicated to this great Russian poet. The food court and restaurants at the meeting seat 25,000 people and everybody enjoys their meal.
Giorgio Napolitano is the third president of the Italian Republic to ever visit the Rimini meeting. After Francesco Cossiga and Oscar Luigi Scalfaro, Napolitano this afternoon has graced the Rimini meeting by participating in a talk that Emilia Guarnieri has already defined as an historical event. Around 4 p.m., the president arrived at the fair and was welcomed by some young people who have braved the hot weather and the strict security in order to pay homage to the head of the country. Later, Napolitano privately met Maurizio Lupi and Enrico Letta before inaugurating the exhibition on the 150 years of subsidiarity. Considering the difficult situation Italy is in right now, this visit pleased the Italian people more than ever. For this reason, Napolitano has come to the meeting to deliver a clear message: face the challenge proposed during this week and build a new certainty for the future based on a dialogue between diverse political sides. The President added that all this needs to happen especially for the future of young people.
Finally, we have to free ourselves from approaches that are narrow-minded and restrictive. It is possible that on the one hand, we have hesitated to recognize the seriousness of our situation because political forces have been dominated by a concern of sustaining the validity of their actions. This happened through propaganda simplifications and consolatory comparisons on a continental scale.
Comparazioni consolatorie su scala europea. Possibile che d'altra parte.
It is also possible that, on the other hand, the official opposition in Parliament claimed that the current situation is in crisis because of mistakes and a lack of proper action taken on behalf of the government, of its leader, and of his coalition.
The Rimini meeting opened celebrating the anniversary of the unification of Italy with the visit of the Italian President, Giorgio Napolitano, who participated in a talk this afternoon along with Maurizio Lupi and Enrico Letta. The topic of the talk centered around the principle of subsidiarity, which is a driving factor of the unified state of Italy. Through the existence of charitable acts, mutual aid associations, and popular political parties, Italy has historically been able to face its biggest changes, from the Risorgimento to the economic boom. A Catholic realism, as Giorgio Vittadini defined it, gives us a new starting point that allows us to be certain even in front of the present economic crisis.
In such a historical moment, how can we speak about certainty as we are doing this week at the meeting?
It's a huge challenge. In this period, uncertainty dominates in our lives, the lives of youth, and of Italian families. We can say that this is the topic of the present situation, as it defines the spirit of our time, and it represents a huge challenge. A challenge to which we have to attempt to give an answer to during these days of dialogue.
Che questi giorni di dibattito e di discussione diano delle risposte.
Di fronte appunto a tutta la realtà.
In front of reality where there is so much uncertainty and even desperation, the meeting asks a fundamental question that concerns the history of the human person, as well as the history of the unified Italian state that is now 150 years old. The real resource is always the certainty that the human being has about his own identity, ability, voice, values, creativity, and responsibility. It is from this certainty that we can start to face reality and the difficulties of the crisis, because I think it's true that diversity is what built the richness of our country.
What gives you certainty in a delicate job like yours?
Beh, è la mia esperienza di fede.
Well, my experience of faith makes me certain because it has to do with everything that I do, because it drives my consciousness.
Quello che faccio, perché guida la mia coscienza.
Two surgeons side by side, two different charitable works that are growing thousands of kilometers apart. The St. Damien Hospital in Madagascar and the Center of Multidisciplinary Training at the AIMS Academy, specialized in innovative and mini-invasive surgery techniques. Two stories, one path.
Quello che mi ha spinto, mi ricordo quando ero ragazzo.
Pushed me, I remember when I was a boy, was a Spanish Capuchin missionary who came to our Regina Pacis parish in Ostia Lido, who made a silent movie about some nuns that cured some ill people in Africa, and from that moment I thought that was my vocation.
Africa, e da quel momento ho pensato che quella era la mia vocazione.
For Stefano Scaringella, a Capuchin friar who has been working in Madagascar since 1983, responding to his own vocation meant facing the pain of lepers and abandoned children every day. 50,000 people have passed through his doctor's office. Instead, robots and advanced technologies are part of the challenge that Raffaele Pugliese of the Neguardia Hospital in Milan tackles every day.
Quello che mi colpisce del movimento è
What strikes me about the movement is that Father Giussani wrote that Christianity has to be witnessed in the situation we live in and in our everyday life.
nelle situazioni che si vivono nella vita di tutti i giorni.
The papal visit to the UK in September 2010 left a permanent mark. The Pope Benedict underlined many times how reason should be open to faith. Today, John Milbank, Austin Everett, and Adrian Pabst have taken up this challenge. Austin Everett, a Catholic British journalist, says, Church has to recover its public voice and to commit itself more deeply within society. It is evident in Italy through its organizational principles of subsidiarity and solidarity. And the papal visit attempted to propose the same path. The Pope presented a new humanism that can reawaken Europe, making it possible for Catholics and Anglicans to dialogue. Christianity, explains Pabst, is the force underlying society that encourages the development and progress within society. In this period of crisis, the meeting relaunches the dialogue.
The letter of the friends, Tolstoy, Mayakovsky, Rilke, Maria Yudina. These friends have given Boris Pasternak the strength to testify through his life and enduring certainty. These words of the writer introduce the exhibition My Sister Life. Old footage and written words witness the existence of a great drama in the Russian writer's life. He describes himself as an imperfect man and sinner, but he was aware that through his art he could contribute to an holy work. What did you strike about the exhibition? Surely the curiosity of the main character of the exhibition, Boris Pasternak, that was continuously stimulated by its life and by what had happened to him. The love for its life and the fact that life questioned you. In this exhibition there are three main characters, Hamlet, Faust and Dr. Zhivago. Faust tries to reach happiness with his own doing strength. Hamlet is the symbol of the man who lives life as an ongoing string of tasks and goals, always in order to find the meaning in life. Zhivago instead finds fulfillment in his waiting. In fact, in Russian, the name Zhivago has the same root as the word life. What does Pasternak communicate to us in relation to our daily life? As Pasternak said, in reality it is all relative. If a man is bored, the problem is not the circumstances, the problem is the man himself. If we actively engaged our heart while reading Pasternak's writing, we can perceive such a certainty and we can share it. This is the rehearsal of Ballata del Cavallo Bianco, the work of Chesterton, that will take place tomorrow evening at the meeting, thanks to the voice of Massimo Popolizio. Tonight there is a big party in Cavour Place. songs and dance of our tradition to celebrate the 150 years of the unity of Italy. Furthermore, also the poetry will be protagonist through some texts recited by Davide Rondoni. The voice of poetry and popular song have always been the things that explained what Italy is best, even more than what sociologists and economists have said, and maybe even more than priors. So, the tonight event will be a way of giving space to the unity of Italy, which is expressed in many different ways and in many different dialects. Look at the richness of our history, expressed also through the traditional songs, can be a possibility to be more certainty. First of all certainty doesn't mean that a person doesn't have problem. Certainty means you are walking on a path, and singing has always accompanied the man who walks. The man who walks because he is in love. He walks towards another person, or he walks because he has to go abroad and he wants to sing to the land he left.
The food court has always been one of the main aspects of the meeting. What are you cooking? We are preparing meat to cook risotto all'isolana, that is a mixture of pork and veal, a typical recipe of the Isola della Scala. The meeting enhances the value of the best gastronomical traditions of the Italian regions without forgetting the most innovative fast foods. What are you preparing? We are preparing cheeseburgers with fresh cheese, tomatoes and onions. The restaurants of Veneto, of Emilia-Romagna, of Tuscany or Abruzzo offer different typical food. We are cooking sheep arrosticini, a typical dish from the mountains of Abruzzo. We should cook as if we were expressing a feeling, because cooking for somebody is like making him taste the beauty of life. Just like the talks of the Rimini meeting, the restaurants give us the opportunity to enjoy the array of dishes from different traditions.
Well, I think there was a lot of hostility to the Pope's visit before he came, but afterwards that changed completely because people liked him an awful lot as a person. And he said things that resonated well with people. He praised the English political tradition, English culture, and he talked about how it connected with the wider European and Catholic tradition. And he presented Cardinal Newman as somebody who belonged both to Britain and to the Catholic Church and to the Anglican Church as well. And it was very impressive when he gave a talk in the Westminster Hall, and he recalled the martyrdom of Thomas More. And I think he managed to connect England to the long-term Catholic legacy in a way that didn't offend people, and to suggest that we need a very integrated humanism that links reason and faith back together again. His talk in Westminster Hall was about how you can't do without faith and without reason. They need to come back together.
From the Christian point of view, what does English society need today?
Society, yeah. I think the first need of British society is a more integrated form of education. In other words, I think that knowledge needs to be linked to ethics and to real human flourishing. And that needs to be combined with the debate about the common good and the real purpose of human existence. The problem we see in British society at every level is that people are trying to search for satisfaction in making more money and in acquiring more consumer durables and achieving a fashionable lifestyle. And in many ways, people are lost. And that's why I think you see increasing corruption at every level. And this manifests itself in criminal violence amongst the people who are dispossessed.
You've been coming to the meeting for some years. What strikes you the most and why do you keep coming back?
I'm interested in the Rimini meeting because I think it's the most impressive example I know of an imaginative attempt to renew Christian life. And I think that the way forward for Christianity has to be in terms of lay people living Christianity out to the full, just as much as monks do in a monastery. And I think Communion Liberation realizes that. Yes, and I think that the movement pursues a kind of integralism in the genuine sense, not in a sinister sense. What I mean by that is that it sees faith and reason as completely linked, and all aspects of life as infused with the gift of the supernatural. So on the one hand, it's incredibly authentically Christian, but on the other hand, it's very open to all aspects of life, to wherever God speaks in reality.
E la cintura?
Non ce l'ho.
È un grosso rischio. Ricordati sempre di allacciare la cintura di sicurezza e falla allacciare anche a chi sta dietro. Guidare non è uno scherzo. Va bene?